let's go. Apparently I don't know how to use this seatbelt. Here we go. Wait, I didn't even turn it on. Just kidding, take two, I did turn it on. Okay, so our first stop of the day is to meet a physical trainer, and I'm gonna get evaluated. I would say I think the most helpful thing beyond physical training and just making your body stronger would be to find teachers who have a stronger style, a more full out style, and learn from them. And then when you are taking their classes, go full out. Like, put your body, exert the level of energy that you need to practice dancing strong. And yeah, you just gotta work a little bit harder because it's physically exhausting. So you gotta push through that. So the first CD would be a mix of Aaliyah and Miguel. And then the second CD would be another mix of Motown music. And then the third CD would be probably my dad's. My dad's a musician, and he gave me a CD, and it was just with a bunch of his music. There are things that I always had naturally, like, again, like strength, like hitting hard, being full out, having a lot of energy. Those things came really naturally to me, but groove and control and clarity, those things were not natural at all. And so those are things that I've had to really train. It was all I wanted to do. It was all I could think about. It was all I was doing outside of work. And so there was that desire, but it was also met with a lot of opportunities and just events in my life that were aligning with the desire. So for example, I would get this opportunity to be in a video shoot on a day that I had to work. So I would have to call in sick a lot to partake in dance-related things that I was really excited about. So it got to the point where there were dance opportunities that did start to begin to conflict directly with working full-time, because maybe if that conflict doesn't exist yet, you don't need to just bite the bullet and just fully quit. At least for me, financially, that wouldn't have made sense and it wouldn't have been plausible. But because there were actually some opportunities and like glimmers of hope coming through, I was like, okay, well, there's some type of opportunity cost happening, so I need to make a decision if I want to quit my job, understand that with that extra time, I'll be spending it training to become as good as I need to be successful, whatever that means. And so, yeah, I made the decision. So I would say it was an intersection of passion and interest with opportunity. And at that point in my life, I'll say that the passion side was maybe 80% and the opportunity side was 20%. And then I spent most of my first year after quitting my full-time job training and investing in myself so that I could be at a level where I felt like it would be appropriate to pursue it professionally. For me, because I wasn't in a great financial situation when I quit my full-time job and pursued dance, so I was working part-time jobs, I was working so many just like random freelance, like one-time, like whatever job I could find. I was working a lot on the side. So it's not this fantasy of you quit your full-time job, you pursue your passion and like that's it, you know? For me, it was like it was a hustle and it was just a constant stress of just making it work. But other than that, which I think is a given, I would say something that just mentally, emotionally helped me get through, and hopefully this something that you can keep in mind, is having a clear understanding of why you're pursuing your dream and your passion and what you're doing it for. I think because that knowledge of like yourself it'll keep you grounded, it'll keep you focused, it'll keep you motivated, because it's really freaking hard. It's so hard to chase your dream. It's not easy, and so just knowing why you're doing it, I think, and keeping that in the back of your mind the entire time will just help you get through difficult times when you feel like giving up or you feel like it's not worth it anymore. So yeah, those would be my 2 cents. My 2 grandmas on my dad's side, I think she believed in me more. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. I feel like she believed in me more than anyone ever has. I was definitely her favorite. Ooh, I was definitely her favorite, which is something that I've like never really felt, but from anyone else. And she called me Hillary instead of Sorah for Hillary Clinton, because she saw Hillary Clinton as this just super powerful, successful woman, and had so much faith that like I could be as successful and smart and powerful as I wanted to be. My other grandma, growing up, she is a multi-time, multi-cancer survivor. So like a lot of I guess like my childhood and just growing up was spent like visiting her at the hospital, and she is like the most angelic, kind, bright, just, I don't know, charismatic person I've ever met. And she's just this tiny old Korean lady, and she's just like the biggest fighter. And she's just gone through a lot, and she's really strong. So yep, that's it. All right. I can cry now. I use 9 to 12. 9 to 12, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of these. These are like the thick ones, and I have even thicker ones to keep my hair in a bun while I dance. For today's lunch, I'm making something that I call poor man's bibimbap. So first item of order, you scoop the rice. Yum. Oops. Oh, bite. Come on, plating. Favorite boba order is usually a peach flavor, green or black tea depending on how much caffeine I need for the day. Probably 30% sugar just because I don't like things to be too sweet, and of course boba inside, light ice. And yeah, feel free to get that for me anytime. Just kidding. I'm not kidding. I can speak Korean, but not well. And I can understand a lot more than I can speak. I took Spanish for 3 years in high school, and I remember nothing. I'm not even gonna pretend. My favorite thing to say in Korean is kimchi jjigae 주세요, which means give me kimchi jjigae, please. I played outside a lot. Like I played Barbie a lot, played with earthworms and roly-polies and ladybugs, and I made mud pies, and I like rode my bike outside and scraped my knees a lot, and yeah, that's the kind of kid I was. The second thing that really defined my maybe later childhood was I started moving a lot. I moved a lot throughout elementary school, and it forced me to be more outgoing because I was always the new girl. I grew up in a school where I was like one of the only Asian people, and it was like a private kindergarten through 8th grade Catholic school, and in San Leandro. So there were like no Asians there, and I got made fun of and I got bullied a lot. It's like I had the full on like people like pulling their eyes and like circling me saying like ching chong, blah, 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 blah. So I know growing up, I definitely, like as a younger kid, say like kindergarten through 4th grade, I wasn't proud of my Asian heritage. I felt really like embarrassed and like alone kind of in school because I got made fun of. No, in terms of what I choose from is really simple. It's like, which baggy shirt will I wear today? And which baggy pair of sweatpants will I wear today? Everything that I put on the merchandise that I sell is a message or a reminder that has helped me along my journey or deeply resonates with me in my journey, and specifically like relating to confidence or trusting just the process, or just making your day a little bit brighter and a little bit less stressful. Making baggy clothes accessible and affordable for people would be awesome, but how am I gonna make it me? Because obviously like I always have to put myself behind what I do. My way of de-stressing and becoming refocused and re-energized is by going home, because I live away from my family. I live in LA and my family's in the Bay Area. So I go home and I'm usually super unproductive when I'm home. I don't do anything. I just hang out with my family and spend time with them, and I'm just reminded of what drives me to succeed the way that I want to, because I would love to be able to spoil them and give back to them as much as they've sacrificed for me. Students, because they constantly remind me what it's about, like what this whole thing is about. When you realize that it can reach other people and it can impact other people, and that's what makes it fulfilling. Like that's what makes me want to keep going and like accomplishing more. And it also reminds me of how powerful dance is and how it can reach people, and what a responsibility I've been given to do that to the best of my ability. Woo! All right, let's go. It shows me exactly where to turn and when. And I don't even have to look at this middle thing. I never take my eyes off the road, so it's super safe. And I'm such a grandma. I actually bought my Hyundai because of all the safety features and all the thought they put into how to make this car as safe as possible, and I got really excited by that.
What would you say your flaws or your weaknesses are?
Two biggest ones that come to mind. I'm super impatient. I care a little bit too much about what people think about me, because I feel like vulnerable and honest with like the version of myself, just putting myself out there in the most authentic way. It hurts more when people judge it or say mean things, because I care. Sacrificed my social life entirely, never went out, never partied, nothing. Because I literally had no time. It was either I'm in class, I'm at work, I'm studying, or I'm at GRV practice.
Did you ever like think twice about that? Were you ever like, or did you just know exactly what you valued and what you wanted?
Exactly.
And yeah.
I knew all the elements. It was kind of like a triangle of, I had three things going on in life, that was it. School, work, dance. So school, essential. Like at that point in my career, I wanted to be a businesswoman. School's no-brainer. Work, no-brainer. I need to pay for USC, no-brainer. And then dance was like also a no-brainer, because I knew this is what I love and this is what fulfills me, and so I'm not gonna not dance. So I had to be realistic about looking at my schedule, what I had time for. I had no time for anything other than those 3 things, and which I don't think is necessarily what I recommend, or not necessarily the healthiest thing. I was really sick all throughout college. I didn't sleep at all. I was probably really irritable, but I had no choice. And I knew it was temporary. I knew that once I graduated, things would change. That lifestyle only lasted 3.5 years.
Right.
So now I sleep a lot.
Yes. Making up for lost time.
It was worth it. Yeah, everything was worth it. Just anything concerning women's issues, I think the simplest way I can put it is that we should be equal and we should be treated as such. And legislation or laws or pay or just general human decency and treatment and courtesy and respect and everything, we should be the same. The governing of women's bodies and reproductive rights, all I wish is that those decisions were made by women, because the decisions are often made by very, very rich men who don't experience it. So I think that women should have control over their bodies, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about like the creative process that makes people feel unsatisfied, but I think it comes from growth. So for me, the best way to not tackle being unsatisfied, because it's not like I'm trying to convince myself to be satisfied. It's just to keep creating new things that I think are better than the last thing that I made. Yeah, and then I think just to enjoy what I'm doing and to feel good in what I'm doing. If everything I'm creating is real to me, and if everything I'm creating feels good to me, then it doesn't matter as much if it's my best work ever. It really doesn't. Like, I'm at a point creatively where I'm just trying to make things that are as real as possible. I mean, I've always tried, but that's like what's important to me, and that's what really is driving me to create, is to feel good and to express myself honestly. It never discourages me from continuing. I'm always gonna keep doing it. I've learned over the years that I am not for all, and no one is for all, which means there will always be people who support and enjoy and like what you do, and there will always be people who don't. Like, that's not your job as an artist. Your job as an artist is not to please everyone and to make stuff that everyone will like. I feel like if you make stuff that everyone likes, then you're probably not taking that many risks, because whenever you challenge the norm, that's what makes people very uncomfortable. And when you do something different, and when you approach things differently, or when you're unique or original, that invites and solicits a lot more negativity than just going with what everyone else is doing. And so I think for me, being a female, and not just a female, but an Asian female, exhibiting strength and power through my movement, I've gotten so much negativity online. I get comments that are like, "Oh, you call this dancing?" or like, "Oh, is she on her period?" Or, I just get like, weird comments both online and in real life. And it's never going to stop me from being who I am and from being strong, because that's literally who I am. And deal with it, negative internet people. But yeah, I don't care, whatever. People on the internet are so mean. And alrighty, so I just finished my little session. It was super quick. Going back home to do some work. Yes, my parents My mom specifically was always really supportive of pretty much anything I ever wanted to do in my life because I've always been a workaholic, this overachiever my entire life. So I think my mom's always had full trust that whatever I decide to do, I'll be fine. So she's always been very supportive. My dad, he wasn't against it, but he didn't understand it in the beginning. So for when I quit my job and I was just kind of trying to dance and teach in the first couple years, I would come home and he would ask me, like, when are you getting a real job? And it would hurt my feelings and make me super upset. But once I started getting more opportunities and once I started succeeding a little bit more, he realized that I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make this work, and I'm gonna be able to take care of myself and be fine and live a happy life. And I think once he saw me demonstrating that and proving that, then there was nothing left for him to question. The biggest piece of advice is to prove to them and just show them that you can do it and that you can take care of yourself and that you'll be okay and you'll have food on the table and you're happy. Because if you're doing all those things, then there's not much they can say. Okay. When I first made the jump to pursue dance, it's funny because I told myself back then, give me 5 years to be as good as I need to be successful. And looking back on that now, it's 2018, so it's been 5 years. And while I am proud of how far I've come and how much work I've put in to grow, I wouldn't say that I'm satisfied. I'm definitely still want to improve on so many things, and I'm always working to move forward. So I think that's just an interesting kind of misconception of pursuing this creative field of, I just got to get to that level and then I'll be good. It's like, nah, the reality is if you're seeking growth, if you have a growth mindset, you probably will never feel like you've made it, because once you accomplish something, your dreams will keep expanding and your limit will keep rising. If I make a lasting difference on the lives of other people and that empowers them enough to pay that forward and hopefully ripple and keep going for years to come, then I will be very, very happy and satisfied. And I think I recognize how blessed I am and how fortunate I am. So because of that, that's why I dream so big, to be honest. It's because I've been given certain abilities and I've been given certain opportunities that sometimes I don't understand why I have these things, but I know that in order to feel like I'm worthy or deserving of these things, I need to make the most out of them and use my abilities to their full potential. And so I know I haven't even touched on all of that yet. So yeah. Thank you to Hyundai for letting me borrow the car. I'm falling. Letting me borrow the Veloster. Yeah, it was super fun to drive. I probably didn't showcase the sportiness and the speed of it because I drive like a grandma. Thank you guys, thank you everyone, and yay! I gotta get my phone. If this was sticking up from my ponytail the whole time, I'm gonna be so sad.